Hello YouTube fans, here again. And I figure as I'm talking about Steven Spielberg films, not out about this one. Now, I almost sipped up and said this. It's quite confusing this one because is it a Steven Spielberg, is it not? And nope. I'm not talking about Poltergeist that. I'm on about this one. And nope, I'm not naked. I'm wearing my house coat like I did before. It's my day off. I'm being a bit lazy. I put my toes on in a bit. Lounging about, being lazy. Why not? I'm not in work. So I'm wearing my house coat. But moving on. Yep. It's confusing because just like Poltergeist, some people say it was Tom Hooper. Some people say it was man himself, Steven Spielberg. However, this one isn't. This is George Lucas, or is it a Steven Spielberg film? That being the original, the tacit Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm not going to call it Indiana Jones, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and so on. Because originally it was going to be its own beast, it was going to be its own film, so it was going to be called Raiders of the Lost Ark, made money, so the rest was called Indy after that. Always annoys me that, like when George Lucas and a lot of people always go, Star Wars A New Hope, episode 4. It always annoys me. To me, when it first come out, it was called Star Wars. When this first come out, it was called Raiders. I'm old fashioned that way, but it always annoys me when people say, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's not. It's not. It is Raiders of the Lost fucking Ark by my friends. So moving on from that. So we're going to go with it. We're going to go. So at the time, George Lucas was still a director, trying to make it big. And if you think about it, he was in Hawaii at the time, thinking of a new film. Now, he was tossed between doing Fast Jordan. He loved doing the mini series of Fast Jordan. So there's some noise there, something's on my computer at the moment, doing something. Right, so I was about to say, if you're doing that, he was told to doing a Fast Jordan sort of film and something else. He wanted to do at the time, believe it or not, a James Bond sort of spin-off, like a James Bond film. And at the time, Steven Spielberg said, no, because he was mad on serial comic hero, sort of adventure films, like from the 30s, the 40s, with some dye, really fancy, not realistic, but really over the top, had a twist ending in every one of these TV sort of mini souls what he'd do at Watson when he was a kid. So at the time, I mean, something's gone. Really, some fucking ambulance is diving dust. Every time I do a video, you can tell something makes a noise, so I do apologise for that. So I was about to say, before I got an ambulance down my ear hole, at the time, and Steven Spielberg wanted to do sort of like a mini sort of hero. So George Lucas was told to doing a Fast Jordan thing or this other thing, and then Steven Spielberg said, no, I've got an idea. Why not make this Tape Crusade, hero, Book of the Mill? And the original idea was going to be calling the character, believe it or not, named off, I think, right, it could have been Steven Spielberg's dog. After that, it was George Lucas's dog, one or the other. They was going to name the character Indiana Mac. No bullshit, it was going to be called Indiana Mac. Until the idea got stopped. They decided to do this Fast Jordan thing, but they couldn't get the rights, copyright and everything. So instead, they named it Star Wars. It went back to Hawaii because George Lucas thought this film Star Wars was not going to be a big hit. It wasn't going to be a big success. Lo and behold, it made money. It was a smash hit in every cinema. It made George Lucas his name. And then during the early 80s, they decided to follow up with this. And they named the film Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the rest is history. So, yeah, Steven Spielberg did have a part of this as well with George Lucas. They worked together as a team, and then the rest became Bid, and the rest was Indiana. That's why I call it Raiders. So, the ideas at the time for Marion, they were going to use one actress you might remember playing the dirt in Blade Runner. Now, she never got the role, but Nancy Iron got the role of Marion. Then there was interviewing for Indiana Jones. They had a few actors. One of them I'd loved to have seen got that role, but it was never to be, was Tom Selleck. Now everyone knows who Tom said it is. Think of Magnum P.I. Think of other things he's done after that. With my favourite sci-fi film being Runaway. There's one day around the road. I'll review that again. I love that film. Totally love it. And you know what I mean? He did loads of stuff, but a lot of people remember him in the TV show Magnum P.I. He interviewed, and I thought he was brilliant. I saw the original interview, the behind the scenes where he was dressed up as Indy, doing the lines and everything. But he couldn't get out the contacts. They lied at the time, being the series of Magnum P.I. And Tom said it got conned. He got conned, and he never got that looks there. So at the time, there was half and half between Harrison Ford, because Harrison Ford did a lot of things with George Lucas. He did American to Theatre. We all remember him as Han Solo in Star Wars. And not long after that, he did Han Solo again in The Empire Strikes Back. So there was very, very thingy doing that role, but decided, what the hell? But I wanted this, so we changed the name, because it's still going to be called Indiana Mac to Indiana Jones, and the rest is history. So let's get into the film. I love the film. I love it. To me, it's an adventure and an horror film. The bits where it's going in the tube, you got the bodies flying out everywhere. I say that's a bit of horror, but then you got a bit of adventure. He gets conned. The guy's got the head of the gold thing. He runs off with it where the thing's shutting down. And I love it. They've got the boys just starts firing at him, and he just gets a lucky escape. Which is kind of, I think it's done on purpose, this. You see this Bill Burgess with me now? Please let me know, mate. Was this done on purpose? Because you see the thing going down, right? And the lid's going down, and you think Indy's going to get buried alive. The next thing you know, it's going up again. And it's all like a love letter to those mini souls. But he gets out, he finds the body of the one what betrayed him. Again, a good bit of horror there. Adios, Dorito. And you've got the main villain being Belloc. Very good English actor. And you've got these like natives to chase him, and he gets a lucky escape. Now I think myself, because of the success of Jaws, you know, the boom 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 music, they got the same guy who did the theme to that. They tried to want that fence to sort of feel. So we've got the theme that everybody knows, that I love that theme. To me, without that, it's not an indie feel. So you've got that, and I keep saying it, it's not called Indiana Jones. The original from 1981 is called Raiders of the Lost Ark. I love it for that. And we all know he was a teacher. He was in like a college, college or university. I love the bit where the girl blinks her eyes. It's got the word love you, cheesing in there. You got one guy sadly no longer with us, may he rest. I feel when they did the third one, you get to see a lot more of him. And they're going for the art of the covenant. I love the bit where you get that cheapy type of music, and you see like the Roman soldiers of what this box has done, and then he goes and meets Marion. I love to see him when you got the villain with the bald head and he burns his hand. I love that. And I also love the fact Pat Roach plays two roles in this, which again, may he rest in peace, Pat Roach, who also appeared in The Temple of Doom as the big Indian fella. He also appears as a Dooming guy, same hairstyle as me. And yeah, I just like that. And like I said, they're going after the art of the covenant. It's his magical bots, what they think is special powers. I love the bit where he's got the thing and it fires that laser out and he meets his mate, which again does have a bit of role in that, being The Last Crusade. And there's a damn good adventure feel, it's a damn good horror feel and all that. The bits where he's going in that tomb and Marion thinks that it's Indy. She puts her arms around him and it's all these dead bodies flying out everywhere. It's always wondered myself whether that would have been the idea one thereafter for Poltergeist. You got all these corpses and dead bodies, and I'm thinking to myself, this is really for kids. Bodies with fucking spears out. The villain with a spear in his neck, the one that double tossed in there. Is this really for kids? But I love it. I love the bit where he's having the fight with Pat Roach, who I believe had a slaphead, and you think he's going to get the better thing, but man, that's that airplane. Turns him to fucking mush. And again, you got that indie feel. Again, I love the bit with the car chase scene. You got them chasing. You got Belloc. You got the other villains, and I do believe they did have an Australian stuntman to do the famous scene. Remember the scene where he's on the rope and he swings the toss and he's on the big truck. And that's not forget the scene with the boulder. How can I forget that? I love that scene with the boulders chasing in there. That's when with the thingy bit. But that's there, as I was about to say, I love the bit when he's on that rip, which I do believe the Australian guy actually fractured his legs for doing that stunt. Messed up his career as a stuntman. But he gets lucky, he almost gets the Art of the Covenant, and you think there's going to be a love scene between him and Marion. Sadly to say, it's not to be. He falls asleep. I also remember the bit where she hits poor Indy with the mirror. Ah! And you feel for him. And I always loved the love song, you know, that. I'm not doing it any justice, I'm not. But it's every time you feel a love scene between him and Marion, but sad to say it's not to be. I toast the villains steal the Ark of the Covenant, and then Indy goes after it. I always remember the bit where he disguises as a German soldier and all. I love that bit, and he can't fit into the outfit. He's got that missile. I'm going to blow up the world, Ballock, something like that. And he says, you're almost going to give mercenaries a bad name. But there's a bit what makes me wonder, did Indy know what this box was going to do or not? Because the bit where, I do know there's a few deleted scenes, like there's a scene in it where Ballock is getting all caught up and he senses there's something going to happen with that box. He's a bit hesitant. Sad to say that it's deleted, and I felt they should have kept it in. They should have kept that scene in. I do know the scene where Belloc's head blows up. It's going to have like blood squirting out everywhere. But again, Steven Spielberg, just like when he did Jaws, he wanted to keep it of a mild rating. So instead of his head blowing up, you actually get fire covered in the side of his head. So when you see it blow up, it's not as graphic as what the original version of it was going to be. But I do love the bit where he opens the Ark of the Covenant, and I do love the bit where Indiana Jones says, shut your eyes, Marion. Whatever you do, don't look at it. Shut your eyes. So it has me wondering, and I'm thinking, well, why did he go all the way to allow him to do that? And a lot of people say, had he would have allowed them to open that Ark, it would have killed innocent people. Anyone that saw these evil spirits, they would have been killed as well. That's how I see it. There's lots of ways of looking at that. So the spirits are coming out. They look beautiful. I do know they had a real woman who went underwater to film that effect of a spirit. And I admit, even today, that looks really, really impressive. I've got to admit, that looks impressive. So you've got that. One, they make the mistake. One, I think it's Ballock, who says, it's beautiful. Next thing you know, the face turns into a skeleton's face. This is the bit where I would say that Fencerfield turns into a fucking horror film. This to me turns into a horror film. You've got the date scene where they're told, one of the main villains, and his face flies. One of the other villains, his head turns to mush. It's again, I believe, it's going to be a lot more graphic. Again, Steven Spielberg wanted to keep it mild, but it's doing a bit of a story effect. Of course, you've got the scene that I've just said where Belloc's head just goes and balls up. I wish that Steven Spielberg said, fuck it, like with Jaws. The director gets jagged with Farmoy Sider's son. Said he bowled his son. Remember that bit, deleted scene? I just wish he did the same, allowed this to happen, because I think it would have had more of an impact where Belloc's head just bowls up, blood everywhere. But he didn't. He put the fire around the face, so you don't see it as graphic. But yeah, I still love it. His head bowls up, date effect, which I do believe freaked the original actor out when he saw the dummy of that. And he drags the German soldiers. You've got that cheapy music and the lid sucks. And for some reason, the ropes have been burned off Marion and Inda. And Indy spends half an hour trying to keep the art, but these people are different people that do on this one, because if Indy why the hell would Indy want to save this thing of the Art of the Covenant, which I do know was a real art, real things, never been found. So I love the bit, it says Raiders of the Lost Art. To me, I like that feel. So they say that, the blab off, I should say, Indy walks off with Marion. And I just love the bit where you got that cheapy music again, the guy's moving it out of the coffin, it's been sealed with all these dangerous artifacts. And then you got that ending store, beautiful store, that da, 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 and I love it. Like I say, I love the bit with the boulders chasing in there. I almost forgot where he's in that tomb. I love the bit with the darts are firing at him. I love the bit with the Ark of the Covenant when it kills them all. I just feel like it's a fucking damn good horror feel to it. There's one bit of this where I never get bored. I never get bored. I almost have a tear in my eye because they don't make good films like this anymore. They don't. I told you after that, you had the Indiana Jones sort of spin-offs like Romance in the Stone, King Solomon's Mind. You had adverts imitating Inda, and it was only like a couple of years after this they decided to do Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which I would love to get to that one next. That's a damn good one, and the 2 edited versions of that film. But this one, I always like this one. I like the offensive feel. I like the horror feel to it with the bodies and the art, the spillets, and I love the bit of the boulder stays in India, and I'll repeat myself there. I love the love feel between him and Marion. I love the theme tune, that theme. I love it. I think he made a good one. In 1981, he made a damn good film, Steven Spielberg, and with George Lucas. I know what else was good? They had a new name for themselves. Without this, Harrison Ford would not have been as popular. I feel maybe after Star Wars, his career would have went bye-bye. But Indiana Jones saved his career. That's how I see it. Without this, 1 year after, he wouldn't have had the big success of Blade Runner, even though that was not a smash, it's now a total classic. He wouldn't have had the luxury of doing the other Indiana Jones films. He wouldn't have had the luxury of doing the films what he has done over this, whether it be The Fugitive, whether it be Witness. The list goes on. The list goes on. So I actually praise Raiders. There's a bit of me would have loved to see what happened if Tom Selleck would have got the role, but in this occasion, yeah, I think it launched Harrison Ford. I really do. I love Nancy Iron in Raiders. I mean, she's not your typical, I'm a pretty dude, don't I look pretty, I'm a tango in distress. She knows how to stick up for herself. She's feisty, she's a dude who knows how to angle herself, and I'm repeating myself. But I love it. I love everything about Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's why, just like Jaws, I'm doing this a big, epic review. It's a big hit film. I always see it as there. I've seen loads of different edited versions of it. I've seen it remastered. I've seen it widescreen. I've seen the shitty censored one. Don't bother with it. I've seen it uncut. I love it. I've seen it in its original theatrical format. I love Raiders. What else can I say? But yeah, that's Raiders of the Lost Ark. They don't make films like this anymore, and I love to see films like this. No, I don't want to see a new Inda, but I'd love to see films with a similar offensive feel. So for that, a 15-star rating from me. Bring to them. Be smart, be safe. See you later.